The future is not being imagined, it's being built. Right now, 12 objects are rising across the planet where high technology physically merges with nature. For decades, human presence in the world's most pristine environments followed a predictable script: concrete over coral, steel through jungle, a footprint of destruction. But this is a new chapter, an engineering response to an ecological crisis. These 12 sites are the proof. They represent a radical shift in philosophy, from aggressive construction to invisible integration. The core mission is habitation without destruction. But this raises a fundamental question. How do you embed tons of concrete and steel into a living ecosystem so that it doesn't even notice? This investigation will deconstruct that answer structure by structure. It's a global network of architectural experiments, a connected grid of engineering thought stretching from remote atolls to Arctic fjords. A new code is being written. The old paradigm was about what you could add to a landscape. The new one is defined by what you can remove. Today, true luxury is the complete absence of a human footprint.
The ocean was the first crisis. How do you build on water without poisoning it? At Soniva Jani in the Maldives, the answer was to remove the unnecessary. The most intelligent feature is a silent mechanical act. A switch is pressed. The roof over the master bed slides along silent guides. The entire bedroom opens to the night sky, and the scent of the salty ocean breeze fills the air. It's an observatory with a bed. But beneath this simplicity is a complex, autonomous machine engineered for total independence. The entire resort functions as a self-sufficient organism. Its power is drawn from a network of solar panels capturing the equatorial sun. Its fresh water is created on site. An advanced desalination plant pulls water directly from the ocean, stripping away the salt and delivering it into the resort system. 100% of the island's water is produced this way. The waste cycle is even more radical. An on-site eco-center functions like the digestive system of a small city. Glass bottles are pulverized into a fine powder, melted down at 1,200 degrees Celsius, and then recast into new glassware and art. Food scraps are composted into fertilizer for the island's gardens. Nothing leaves. It is a completely closed loop. The resort's powerful telescope turns the sky into another layer of the environment, connecting the mechanical precision on the ground with the cosmos above. It proves that extreme luxury doesn't require excess. The cycle is absolute. Purified water, once part of the sea, flows back into the villa's pipes, ready to begin again. But if the Maldives demanded mastering water, the Arabian Desert posed a different enemy: extreme temperature. The Six Senses Southern Dunes project doesn't fight the environment, it disappears into it. Its structures are low, elongated, designed to follow the natural lines of the sand and rock. The core of its design isn't complex machinery, it's ancient physics. Thick walls act like massive thermal sponges, absorbing the blistering heat of the day. Outside, a furnace. Inside, a cool, silent refuge. As the desert temperature plummets after sunset, the walls slowly release that stored warmth, stabilizing the climate naturally. This efficiency earned the project the highest levels of sustainability certification, a rare feat in the desert. The building breathes with the landscape, its stone walls silently shedding the day's heat into the cold night. The desert teaches humility, forcing architects to hide in the sand. But Dubai's response to this crisis was not to hide. It was to defy gravity with the Burj Al Arab. Building a skyscraper on solid rock is a known science. Building one on shifting sand is a gamble against physics. The tower stands on a man-made island, a patch of land with no natural bedrock for support. The solution was a forest of concrete piles, 250 of them, each one driven deep into the unstable, reclaimed land. They don't reach bedrock. There is no bedrock to reach. The entire structure, weighing 250,000 tons, is held in place by a single force: friction. The immense pressure of the sand gripping the sides of each pile is the only thing preventing the tower from sinking into the Persian Gulf. It is a monument held up by countless grains of sand. The iconic sail-shaped structure rises over 300 meters into the sky, but its most radical feature is not what was built, but what was left out: a 180-meter-tall atrium, the largest in the world. This colossal void is not for show. It acts as a giant chimney, a thermal engine designed for the
the desert, hot air accumulates at the top and is vented out, creating a constant, gentle airflow that dramatically reduces the load on the building's cooling systems. 250 piles held by friction, a 180-meter void functioning as a thermal engine, a tower over 300 meters tall built on sand. Having proven it could build this high, the industry discovered a new limit. The next challenge wasn't to build taller, but to learn how to vanish entirely.
In a direct counterpoint to Dubai's screaming ambition,
A new architectural philosophy chose to whisper. Here, in the middle of the Utah desert, the goal was not to be seen at all. The building doesn't impose on the landscape, it dissolves into it. The walls are a precise concrete mix, pigmented and textured to perfectly replicate the surrounding Entrada sandstone, a seamless transition. The built structure flows into the natural rock. The dividing line vanishes. This isn't design, it's camouflage. The physics are just as subtle. These thick walls act as a massive thermal battery. They slowly absorb the desert sun's brutal heat all day, storing its energy. At night, as the temperature plummets, that stored warmth gently radiates into the rooms, stabilizing the climate without a single complex machine. You can feel the day's heat breathing from the stone long after sunset. But the ultimate expression of this idea is in the main swimming pool. At its heart is not a sculpture or a fountain, it is a rock. A massive, thousand-year-old geological formation. They didn't move it, they built around it. The entire structure bends to the will of this silent, ancient centerpiece. This is not a retreat from engineering, it's a new level of complexity. The challenge wasn't just to coexist with nature, but to integrate with it on a structural level. To bypass the rock with the foundation was exponentially more difficult than simply leveling it with dynamite. Where architecture in Utah merges with stone, the challenge on a remote Pacific atoll is far more fundamental. It's not about visuals, it's about survival in an energy desert. On Tetiaroa Atoll, a ring of islands hours from any continent, conventional air conditioning is unsustainable. The diesel generators required would create a constant logistical and environmental crisis. The solution lies beneath the waves. 1,000 meters down, in a zone of permanent darkness and crushing pressure, the ocean temperature holds steady at a frigid 4 degrees Celsius. This is the engine for the resort's entire climate control. The system is called SWAC, seawater air conditioning. A massive pipeline draws this ancient cold water from the abyss to a central plant on the island. Here, it passes through a heat exchanger, chilling a closed loop of fresh water without ever mixing. This secondary loop then circulates through the buildings, providing all the cooling needed. The result? A 90% reduction in energy consumption for air conditioning. It's an engineering solution that turns a geographic weakness into a strength. The system taps into a limitless source of cold, making the isolated resort almost entirely self-sufficient. Ice-cold water from the ocean depths circulates silently and continuously through pipes beneath the villas. But isolation isn't always a feature of geography. It can be a feat of engineering, designed and built directly into the heart of a bustling city like Marrakesh. Here, a sprawling complex was conceived not as a conventional hotel, but as a self-contained Medina. 53 private riads, or traditional houses, are woven into a maze of quiet alleyways and shaded courtyards. More than 1,000 artisans spent years hand-carving every surface, ensuring no two spaces are identical. On the surface, the only sounds are the rustle of palm leaves and the gentle splash of fountains. It is a world of perfect tranquility, but this tranquility is an illusion, powered by a secret hidden just below. Beneath the sun-bleached marble, a parallel city is in constant motion. A 1-kilometer network of concrete tunnels connects every part of the property. The air here is cool, filled with the low hum of electric service carts moving silently through the corridors. This is the hotel's central nervous system, where an army of staff moves unseen. From kitchens to laundries to the hidden service doors of each riad, the entire logistical operation happens underground. The result is a profound contrast. Above, a guest experiences absolute solitude. Below, a highly coordinated team executes every request with military precision. A meal is ordered. A staff member appears, then vanishes. There are no shared hallways, no rattling housekeeping carts, no sign of the massive operation required to maintain 53 private palaces. On the surface, not a single footstep is heard. The illusion of total seclusion is flawless. But if service drove construction underground in Morocco, in Paris, it was driven by fear. The fear of technological obsolescence. On the Place de la Concorde stands the Hôtel de Crillon, a palace born in the 17th century. It survived revolutions, it watched history unfold. But its greatest challenge was the modern world. The problem was not decay, but irrelevance. How do you integrate 21st century amenities into a protected landmark? How do you build a massive modern spa with a swimming pool when the law forbids you from touching a single historic wall? The answer was not to build out or up. The answer was to dig down. Engineers had to excavate entirely new levels directly beneath the palace's original foundations. This wasn't a renovation, it was an act of extreme structural surgery. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and centuries-old dust as machines carefully removed soil, inch by inch, from under the massive weight of the historic building. A single mistake could have been catastrophic. History versus physics. The work is almost completely invisible to a guest, yet it makes everything else possible. Thousands of tons of earth removed from beneath the structure just so the facade could remain untouched. The fundamental problem of a remote paradise is logistics. On Lokala Island, Fiji, that problem was solved radically, transforming luxury into a completely autonomous mechanism. The process begins in the air. The island operates its own fleet of aircraft. A private jet touches down on a dedicated runway. There are no commercial terminals, no long lines. A dedicated customs and immigration infrastructure processes arrivals on site, condensing the border of a nation into a single seamless procedure. It is the ultimate expression of control. The goal is zero dependence on the outside world, a self-contained system. This philosophy of non-interference extends beneath the waves. To explore the pristine coral reefs, there are no disruptive engine-powered boats. Instead, there is a submarine, a $700,000 two-person deep-flight Super Falcon. It's fully electric, it produces zero emissions, and it is completely silent. Inside the acrylic dome, there is only the sound of breathing. Outside, the reef life thrives, utterly undisturbed by the machine gliding through its world. It is the ultimate observation tool, engineered for an invisible footprint. The vessel tilts forward, it slips beneath the surface, descending into the dark blue of the Pacific. If Fiji is about building a new world from scratch, Venice is about preventing the old one from collapsing. Salt and water are destroying stone every single day. The battle is constant. Here in the 16th century Palazzo Papadopoli, the enemy is the very element that defines the city. Water from the Grand Canal splashes against the foundation. The ancient stone base is perpetually damp, porous. Outside, the air carries the scent of salt and decay. But cross the threshold and everything changes. The air is clean, perfectly dry. This feeling is not an accident, it is an engineered reality. Behind the historic frescoes and silk-covered walls, a hidden network of technology wages a silent war. This is a battle of materials. Corrosive sea salt penetrates the brickwork, crystallizing and expanding with a force that can shatter stone from within. To fight this, humidity sensors are embedded deep inside the ancient structure, feeding data to a central climate control system. This system doesn't just cool the air, it scrubs it, pulling out moisture and saline particles with relentless precision. The annual investment in this invisible life support is comparable to the cost of constructing an entirely new building. It is a fortress of preservation disguised as a palace. The goal is to make the technology disappear, allowing the history to breathe. This is most evident in the property's rarest feature, a private garden facing the Grand Canal, a near impossible luxury in a city built on water. It is a quiet space protected by an invisible shield of engineering. In the quiet of the night, the palace breathes, its systems working in silence, buying time against an enemy that never sleeps. In Venice, water is an enemy to be contained, but on Lake Como, water became the foundation for an engineering trick at the Grand Hotel Tremezzo. Its most famous feature is a pool that seems to float on the lake itself. This isn't an illusion, it is a carefully engineered platform, a self-contained structure suspended directly on the water's surface. The entire basin is designed as a buoyant object, displacing a precise volume of water to support its own weight, the water inside, and every person swimming in it. No foundations, no piles driven into the fragile lake bed. The result is a stark contrast. Inside the pool is a world of filtered, heated, and predictable blue, a space of total human control. Just centimeters away, the deep, wild water of the open lake stretches out. It is a pocket of engineered order floating on the edge of natural chaos. With over 100 years of history, the hotel proves a radical point. In a world obsessed with minimalist updates, the Tremezzo's refusal to modernize became its most powerful strategy for survival. All these systems, from the floating platforms of Tremezzo to the hidden climate controls of Amman, demonstrate the absolute limit of today's technology. For centuries, architecture was an act of conquering the environment, pushing back the sea, leveling the mountain, imposing human will on the landscape. This is different. It's a move from domination to symbiosis. hypnosis. To reveal this hidden technical magnitude, our visual reconstructions were built using artificial intelligence. This allowed us to peel back the layers of concrete and steel, to analyze the invisible systems that keep these structures alive. The result is an autopsy of modern ingenuity, showing a clear evolution in thinking. The goal is no longer to be seen, but to disappear, to integrate so perfectly that the technology becomes part of the landscape. But it forces a fundamental question. As we reach this peak of adaptation, can human engineering create anything that truly surpasses nature's own design? These structures are engineered to stand for 100 years, but the planet will not wait. The real test is just beginning.